Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to correct an improperly graduated student in PowerSchool. I will start out by saying this video is used for training purposes only. No real students or data is portrayed in this video, and any likeness to any real student is purely coincidental, as this is a training server full of fake students and fake data. So I have two students pulled up here that have been moved into graduated students. One student has been processed properly through the end of year process or by following the correct directions for graduating a student manually in PowerSchool. The other student is improperly graduated where the steps were not followed exactly as written in the documentation that we have out there. So I want to look at this student right here first. This is a correct enrollment record. So this is the enrollment history, or in the old UI, the transfer info screen. Notice in the top left-hand corner, it is a graduated enrollment status. Notice that the current enrollment is a one-day enrollment record with a G graduated exit code, grade 99 at graduated students. Here in previous enrollments, the first record is the entire year range of their 12th grade year with a graduated exit code stating it was at your high school. Both of these records have to be in place for AIM to pick this student up and show that they are a graduate. Now, it could also be like if you had a very early graduate, maybe somebody who graduated as an 11th grader and did not even go to 12th grade and went to graduation already. It is possible that you would have an 11th grade record with a G going to 99, but you can't do that if they did have a 12th grade record there. So this is what a correct graduated record should look like. Let's navigate to the next. And we'll see what happens if you don't follow the directions precisely. In this case, notice I still have the graduated enrollment status, but when I look at the current enrollment, it's the 12th grade record showing the entire school year at graduated students, and the first previous enrollment record is the year before's 11th grade record. So it's missing an entire record. This can be corrected and must be corrected if you want the students to show properly over in AIM, because as this record stands, this student will not be captured in a graduate in the cohort portal. So these are the steps that you would follow to get this corrected. First, let's go back to the main screen. And I'm going to uncheck this first student and only work with this second student. So this was the incorrect record. Okay, in this record, they were in a graduated status. That's an enroll status of 3. In order to move and correct this record, we are going to need to move them into a transferred out status, because we're actually going to need to move them back over to the high school. So I'm going to click change student field value, and I want to change the field enroll underscore status from the 3, which is graduated, to a 2, which is transferred out. That'll allow us to move the records to a new school. So first step is changing the status to ensure it's in a transferred out status. Now I'm going to go back to the main screen into this student's record. And in school enrollment, I am going to, since the student is transferred out, I don't have to transfer them out of this school. I need to move them back to the high school. So I'm going to choose transfer to another school. I want to move them from graduated students back to Alabama High School. And now it tells me I have an inactive student record at Alabama High School. Great. So now I'm going to go back to the main screen, get out of graduated students, and go to that high school. Okay, this student's still inactive, so I've got to use the / to find them. And so there is the student. And let's just take a look at that enrollment history, at what it looks like now, because we know what it needs to look like. So now I see that that year-long record does at least show at the high school. So what I've got to do is get this record down here and a new record here before I can move it over to the graduated student school. And that's the step that a lot of districts are missing when they try to hand process a graduation. You can't just transfer a student out and move them over to graduated students. It messes the record up. You actually have to create a new enrollment record in order to do this. And you need to do this before you're even transferring out of the 12th grade. Again, the end of year process does all this for you. So it's best if you let the end of year process naturally graduate students instead of trying to manually graduate students. So I want to show you what will happen. If you go to school enrollment, there is this create a new student, or excuse me, a new school enrollment. Notice it'll say, hey, you can't do this with inactive students. It actually can only be processed if the student is in an active status. So you're going to have to go back to the main screen while this student is still in there, change the student field value one more time, and activate their record. So that's going to be a 0 enrollment status. So I'm changing him from transferred out back to active as if he was still enrolled with me. That's why those directions specifically state create that enrollment record before you do the transfer out on the student. So I go back to the main screen. Now this student is no longer transferred out. It's active as if they were enrolled in this school. So now, and it populates me to this new enrollment record already. So I'm going to enter the enrollment record, and it should be for that day after the last day of school. So let's actually go back to the transfer or the enrollment history screen to see what the end of the school year is. So if it ends 5/25, if I had done end of year, it would have processed this with a 5/26 date. It does that day after. So I'm going to click back into here, create new enrollment record. This is going to be for 5/26/2023, exit code of G, entry date 5/26/2023, resident enrollment, hit submit. If I go back to the record now, enrollment history, you'll notice you have that 1-day record of G, and now your 12th grade record is down here at the high school. Okay. Now, remember we're activated. We need to flip that enrollment status back to be transferred out so that I can then move that record over to graduated students. So I'm going to go back to the main screen, change student field value, enroll underscore status. So I was at a 0. I'm going back to a 2, which is transferred out. Submit. Go back. So if I go back in that record, see now it's got my transferred out notification up here. I can go to school enrollment, transfer to another school. Where do I want to move this record back to? I want to go back to graduated students, hit submit, and says, hey, we've now made an inactive record at graduated students. Perfect. Go back to the main screen, flip. Let's go check graduated students. If I pull up the student, there they are, and look back at that enrollment history, let's see what I have. I have the 1-day graduated record, says grade 12, graduated students. We have the year-long graduated grade 12 at Alabama High School, still in a transferred out status. So we only have 2 steps left to correct our original mistake. And I will say, it takes a lot more steps to fix it than to process it correctly the first time, which is why I strongly suggest reading the documentation. We've got to change this grade level to 99 and update the enrollment status back to a graduated status. Both of those items will be processed through a student field value. So I'm going to go back to the main screen. While the student is selected, I'm going to do change student field value. First, let's get the enrollment status. Needs to be changed to a 3. I'm going to submit. Submit again. Then go back to the main screen, or I could have just hit the back button and it would have taken me, but I always go back to the main screen. Next, I want to change grade underscore level to a 99. Hit submit, change from 12 to grade 99 to indicate graduated. And now, when I go look at this student record, you're going to see that record exactly like it should be. One day, oh, I hit the wrong date on there. Easy fix, because I can come back in here, change that to 26, submit, fixed it. Now I've got my 12th grade record showing high school, 9th grade record, or excuse me, 99 grade record showing it graduated students. So like I said, it does take quite a few steps to undo an incorrect graduation. So you want to be very careful. As we stated, it's the easiest thing to do is make sure you have the student set correctly for end of year and let the end of year process create that extra record and move them over for you. If you process a mid-year graduation and you don't use the mid-year graduation procedures correctly, that will end up with an incorrect record like you saw. There is a document that we do have that's available to everyone that shows how to properly promote mid-year and graduate mid-year students. If you need that link, it's on the Alabama PowerSchool site, or you can email me and I'll be glad to give it to you. But hopefully this will help you figure out how to undo any mistakes that's causing a student to not appear in the AIM portal.